Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you are here, then you must be interested in learning a little more about self-evaluations and ADA transition plans. My name is Keith Pugh. I am with Withers Ravenel. I am the retired engineering services director with the city of High Point, North Carolina. I will take just a few minutes of your time to fill you in on the why, what, and how of self-evaluation and ADA transition plans. So let's get right on this. Well, why? Well, it's required by the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, so it is a federal requirement. Why now? Well, quite frankly, public agencies are losing lawsuits to individuals and organized groups who represent folks with disabilities. So, the Department of Justice is pushing state DOTs to ensure municipalities, public agencies are in compliance with ADA. In North Carolina, Ms. Ashley Council is the individual at North Carolina DOT responsible for ADA compliance, and I've been in communication with her on a regular basis to ensure that the work we do here at Withers Ravenel is in compliance with their requirements for city-owned infrastructure and facilities. And finally, the primary reason for bringing our community into ADA compliance is because we all want our citizens and visitors to be able to participate in our government, our programs, our activities, and have an equal opportunity to enjoy our community. So, what is self-evaluation and transition plans? Well, we'll start by talking a little bit about the plan itself. This plan must be adopted by the local governing body and approved by NCDOT. The plan has 5 required elements. First, public outreach. You have to let your people know what you're doing and why, and then you must document that input. Second, you have to identify barriers, uh, vertical barriers as buildings, pedestrian barriers, barriers in your programs, activities, your events, your AV resources that are available to the public. Third, you have to identify methods to remove those barriers that were discovered in step number 2. And then fourth, you have to specify a compliance schedule, which is a listing of required improvements and when they will be done. And then finally, you have to adopt an ADA policy. You have to have a grievance procedure in place for that. You have to identify an ADA administrator and an ADA coordinator. So all of those are policy kind of things that have to be done with the public agency. So before I go on, I must say this. Through this process, we are specifically looking for barriers to accessibility. We always find barriers. Most municipalities, public agencies are doing a lot of things right, and that is always evidenced in the list of publicly owned facilities that we find to be in full compliance and require no action whatsoever. But remember, if one barrier is found, then the facility is listed as out of compliance with ADA. So, how do we proceed through the self evaluation and development of the ADA transition plan? Well, we work with the public agency to develop surveys and foster outreach to elected officials, the agency staff, the public, and specific target groups, transportation providers, local churches, anything that may deal with persons with handicaps or disabilities. We assess sidewalks, curb ramps, crosswalks, municipal parking lots according to the guidelines established by PROWAG. Nice acronym, simply stands for Public Rights of Way Accessibility Guidelines. And then we document those items that are out of compliance. Items such as improper slope, a lack of tactile warnings, worn out or missing markings. Those are all things that we typically find. We assess municipal or publicly owned buildings with public access. So, the jail, uh, if you have a jail, we may not have to assess the entire jail, just those areas that the public has access to. But uh, we look at those public access areas and determine barriers for disabled persons according to ADAG checklist, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act accessibility guidelines. Items such as the amount of force required to open a door or to turn a doorknob. Is there exposed piping under sinks in your bathrooms where persons in wheelchairs could burn their legs when washing their hands? Are there improper mounting locations for hand towels or soap dispensers? Is there improper or missing signage? These are all typical things that we find when we're looking at facilities. We then assess municipal programs, activities, and events for noncompliance with ADA. Are persons with disabilities able to attend and participate in council or commissioners meetings, planning board meetings, parks and recreation programs? Is the website ADA accessible for the hearing impaired or for a visually impaired individual, either colorblind or partial to total vision loss? We then compile a list of proposed fixes to remove those barriers that were discovered during the assessment phase. This could be as straightforward as relocating a paper towel dispenser or installing a braille sign near a doorway, or it could be as complicated as building a handicap accessible ramp into a facility or physically replacing a curb ramp on a city street. So, after identifying the proposed fixes, we must develop a schedule to implement the recommended improvements to bring those facilities into compliance. This schedule has to be physically constrained and is typically planned over a 5 to 10-year period. Most municipalities will build additional funding into their maintenance and operations budgets, and they will identify funding through the capital improvement program process to implement these improvements. So, all this information is then compiled into an ADA transition plan with the supporting information contained in the appendices. This is intended to be an active plan and should serve as a guide to bring the city into full compliance with ADA. As such, the plan should be revisited and periodically updated to have the flexibility to incorporate new findings to ensure compliance well into the future. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your interest in self evaluation and ADA transition plans. Please contact Withers Ravenel for additional assistance if you need it. We look forward to the opportunity to serve you. Thank you. Hope you have a great day.